Please hang up and try again.
Freak Radio Network, broadcasting from the Lucas Oil Studios. Driven by General Tire. It's Speed Freaks. Motorsports Radio redefined with Kenny Sargent.
We love to party.
Crash Gladys.
What are we doing for the bachelorette party?
And Statman.
I am serious.
Here's the Freaks.
Oh, Freak Nation, did you see that Michigan race? What a freaking finish for the Michigan NASCAR race. We got to wait until Monday to find out if somebody beat our butts with Beat the Freaks. Is that right?
Yep.
Well, hell, I think half of us are out of it anyway. I think I had Kyle Busch in my top three. Crasher, who did you have in your top three?
I had William Byron. He's out. So, yeah. But our, not winner, but the person that was chosen through our little raffle thing, they also had Kyle Busch, didn't they? So nobody's really out of it yet, as long as we're on the same playing ground.
Hope we beat their butt once again this week. How you doing, man? Coming up in the show, Kyle Kirkwood, IndyCar Series winner from Nashville. He's going to be here in the Freak Nation. A dude that won over the weekend in a big old fat sprint car in Knoxville, Brian Brown, will be here in the Freak Nation. And keep your eyes, ears, and ticket purchasing power open for this one. Ben Maier, he's 14 years old, runs in the Trans Am Series in the TA2 class. He's 14 years old. He ran 2 races this weekend on top of that TA2 race, 2 super truck races. Again, 14 years old. This dude is a severe badass, and I don't think anything's dropped, and he's still got the voice of probably a 10-year-old at this point. Ben Maier will be here in the Freak Nation. He's going to be featured on MAV TV's On the Rise coming up this Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern on MAV TV. A big show for you. We'll fill it for 2 hours. We don't need a finish in Michigan for NASCAR. Kyle Kirkwood coming up in about 30 minutes. Your Statman Scat talking about Noah Gragson. But getting to the topic at hand going into this weekend was Jimmie Johnson not being a unanimous Hall of Fame inductee, meaning there was, 7% of the voters out there, Suave, 8% of the voters for Jimmie Johnson did not vote for Jimmie Johnson to be in the NASCAR Hall of Fame. Is that what it was?
Correct. Yeah, Jimmie only received 93% of the voting percentage of the people who vote on. So only 4 people out of, I believe it was a 57-member panel. Only 4 people.
It's an odd number. I mean, literally.
I know. Voted no on Jimmie Johnson, which, add a little bit of context here. Nobody's ever been unanimous. Not Dale Earnhardt.
I'm glad you brought that up.
Petty,
right.
Or, excuse me, Richard Petty. Kyle Petty. Jesus. Like Kyle Petty. But yeah. So I think that's the overwhelming thing I saw on Twitter this weekend was that because nobody else has been unanimous, Jimmie Johnson can't be unanimous either.
Statman, do you have a problem with Jimmie Johnson not being unanimous?
I got a real problem with that. How could you not have? There's only 3 people that have won 7 championships. The other 2 were in the Hall of Fame. Why Jimmy's not there, I don't know. And besides being a nice guy, 7, count them, not 4, not 5, not 6, 7 championships. If he's not worth being in the Hall of Fame, and anybody who doesn't vote for him not to be in the Hall of Fame needs to have their ballot taken away.
Okay, that was another topic that was brought up on social media this week. Denny Hamlin in particular calling out the 4 guys or gals who did not vote him in as a first-time ballottee, whatever. He did say, yes, we think that those guys, we need more transparency. We need to know who these 4 people were, and they should be revoked. They should have their voting privileges taken away. So you are in line with them, aren't you?
Without question. I mean, I'm a Jimmie Johnson fan. I'll put that disclaimer out there. And I picked him for, I think, his first 3 or 4 championships. But how do you not put him in? And then all the people who think, well, I don't think he ought to be, I don't think.
Yeah, but Dale Sr. was not a unanimous vote either.
It happens in the National Football League, man, and you can't sit there and blame the damn press for that. Remember, it's not just press that are voting in this damn thing. Former drivers, executives are voting in this damn thing.
But whatever the reasons are, they're invalid. He ought to be in the Hall of Fame, and he ought to be in on the first ballot. And if you think he shouldn't be, then don't vote.
Well, I mean, he is in. He got in, and
I understand that, but he's unanimous. He's unanimous. If he's not, who should be?
So if Dale Sr. wasn't, and if who else? Richard Petty wasn't unanimous either. Jeff Gordon. Okay. Oh, but Jeff Gordon received a higher percentage than Jimmy Johnson with less championships. Interesting.
Yeah. So that was the news over the weekend regarding Jimmy Johnson. The other news coming out of, real frankly, today, and I've believed this about the last month and a half, 2 months, whenever Chase Elliott got in the car. I'm about to infuriate a few Chase Elliott fans out there. Chase Elliott will not make the playoffs. It ain't happening. You saw what happened today. Lost a tire, bam, into the wall. I believe, Richie, is he in 22nd in points going into next weekend? I think that's what I saw. Is that right?
I have to look it up.
Okay.
I know he's been making up quite a lot of points over the last several months of the season. So he still has a chance to point his way in, but he's got to start getting top 5s instead of top 15s like he has in the past.
Richie, we're having issues with your microphone. Is the mic plugged in? Is it just a crappy mic? I heard you. I'm hearing you right now. Why in the hell are we coming? Let's do this now. Go ahead. Now do that, Richie. Go ahead. Confirm what I just said in regards to 22%.
Chase Elliott is 20th in the NASCAR Cup Series point standings. He is currently about, let's do some math, less than 42 points out of the top 16 right now, which is doable. He can make that up, but he's got to start finishing the top 5.
Dude, he has, making up points quickly. But really, does anyone on this four square, if you're watching this on Mav TV or anybody listening to us on the Freak Radio Network, really think that Chase Elliott's been on such a roll that he's going to grab a win to get into the playoffs?
I was shocked when Richie said that he has been making up points at a pretty nice pace. I'm not seeing that outside looking in. But hey, points can be made in so many different ways, from stages to just the final finish. So I'm still very doubtful he'll get in.
But here's one for you, Stat Man, and this is how I feel. I was about to go hard on the Chase Elliott fans, saying, so what if your driver's not in it? Come on, continue to flip on the television on a Sunday afternoon, man. Yet at the same time, I'm not tuning in to watch the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm not tuning in to watch the Oklahoma Sooners. I'm tuning in to watch my team. And that's the way a lot of people are with NASCAR drivers, IndyCar drivers, NHRA drivers. If their driver's not in it, screw them. I ain't watching it, which is the last thing that NASCAR and Fox or NBC Sports wants to hear, Stat Man.
Now, see, after all that noise I made about Jimmy Johnson, I don't care if Chase Elliott gets in or not. He dissed me a long time ago, and his PR guy said I had to call in 2 weeks ahead of time to talk to him. So I don't care if he gets in or not.
Wow. Okay.
But I find your point very interesting, Kenny, because you're right. On this show, we have gotten a bit upset at fans who have said, well, I'm not going to tune in. My guy's not in and I'm not tuning in. And our reasoning back to them was, you love the sport. Support the sport that you love. But when you put that football comparison out there, you're not tuning into a random Jaguars game on an NFL Sunday. So it makes sense.
In 23 years, how many people have said, I'm a race fan? I never miss a NASCAR race. I never watch IndyCar. I never watch sports cars, IMSA. I never watch drag racing, but I'm a race fan. And if my guy is not in the NASCAR race, I ain't watching that. So does that make him a race fan or not? And they're allowed to be a Chase Elliott, Jimmy Johnson, whomever fan, but you gotta be real about some of this stuff.
How can we be critical? By the way, Speed Freaks from Lucas Oil Studios on a Sunday night, MAV TV, Freak Radio Network. Thank you guys for coming up or being a part of this thing. Coming up, Kyle Kirkwood, IndyCar Series winner from Nashville. He'll be here in the Freak Nation. Brian Brown, the sprint car extraordinaire. He'll be here in the Freak Nation. I mean, how can we sit here and judge people? You got to watch everything. You can be a race fan if you're just a Chase Elliott fan.
No, you're a NASCAR fan if you're just a Chase Elliott fan.
You're a Chase Elliott fan.
Oh, you're a Chase
a
Elliott
NASCAR fan.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. You want to be a Chase Elliott fan, a Christopher Bell fan, a Martin Truex fan, whatever. That's cool. But don't say if they're not in the race, I'm not watching. You know, I mean that's not what a race fan does.
But it is what a driver fan
I know
does.
we don't have time, but frankly, again, if the NCAA football playoffs are there, am I likely to watch one of those initial playoff games if my Longhorns aren't in it? If I'm in a bar and the game's on, probably. But I'm not going to make an extra effort to watch the Oregon Ducks, depending on what conference they're in at this point.
That's a whole nother. You just opened that can of worms.
Yeah, it depends on what day it is, who's in what conference.
So that's. I can identify with people if their driver's not in it. They have $6,000 worth of Chase Elliott gear in their damn room. I can't hate them if they say Chase Elliott's not in this damn thing. I'm not going to tune into this race.
But I'm going to admit I was one that would get upset at those people. But you make a very valid point as to why I can't.
Freak Nation, your Statman Scat coming up in moments. Noah Gragson stepped in it and he got his legs chopped off. Did he deserve it? That's coming up next. Speed Freaks Pits and the Lucas Oil Studios.
Speed Freaks, Motorsports Radio, redefined.
From the labs at Lucas Oil Products, Lucas Oil Complete Engine Treatment is a multifunctional cleaner plus lubricant. For every fill-up of gas or diesel, add one 16-ounce can of Lucas Oil Complete Engine Treatment. One bottle can treat a tank of up to 21 gallons. Its special additives allows a better fuel burn to help increase your miles per gallon. Expect longer engine life, longer oil life, cleaner exhaust, and less fuel consumption. Lucas Oil, it works.
Whatever you do, General Tire delivers.
Bommarito Automotive Group 550 at Motorback Technology Raceway is not just a race. It's a spectacle.
Here we go! It's a Worldwide Technology Raceway.
It's time to mark your calendar. Saturday, August 26th to Sunday, August 27th.
Joseph Newgarden with back-to-back years at Worldwide Technology Raceway.
Get your tickets now at www.raceway.com.
This segment of Speed Freaks is brought to you by BetterHelp. Now, you hear us talk about constant travel, time commitments, and a slew of other life schedules, throwing some unexpected curveballs that life throws our way. It's easy to get lost and in need of some guidance to get back on track. And that's where BetterHelp.com comes in. Go to BetterHelp.com/freaks and get 10% off your first month. Tap into the world's largest network of licensed and experienced therapists who can help you with a range of issues, including depression, anxiety, relationships, grief, and more. With BetterHelp.com's therapist, you get the same quality you'd expect from an in-office therapist, but you can communicate with them when and how you want, anytime from anywhere. Let therapy be your map with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/freaks for 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp. That's HELP.com/freaks.
The weekend racing is over, or is it? Not on MAP TV. Monday's All-American Racing Night on the network which never leaves the track. Sit back and enjoy grassroots red, white, and blue racing from America's most iconic tracks. Whether it's the precise lines of pavement ovals or the door-banging action of the dirt, MAP TV's Monday night lineup will bring you all the action from this country's legendary four-wheel battlegrounds. Monday night is All-American Racing, only on MAP TV, Motorsports Network.
You're listening to Speed Freaks, Motorsports Radio Redefined.
This Noah Gragson story in NASCAR is troubling in the extreme. These kinds of headlines show up every season, it seems. We've had racial slurs, nooses, now social media likes clicked on racially insensitive graphics. Supposedly that's what Gragson did to a graphic involving George Floyd. Drivers, like everyone else, can think whatever they want, but you wonder why they can't do their off-brand thinking through burner accounts like everybody else. As for Gragson, he's been suspended indefinitely by Legacy Motorsports. That's a team that grew out of Richard Petty and is currently owned in part by Jimmy Johnson. Petty and Johnson both are 7-time champions and two of the biggest names in NASCAR history. On top of everything, the team has plans to switch from Chevrolet to Toyota next year, and you can bet the last thing any sponsor wants is pickets and TV crews outside their headquarters because of something said or done by a NASCAR driver. Again, this is troubling. NASCAR says it's fighting hard to rise above its southern roots, but the drivers keep pulling it back into the briar patch. Hopefully this tangle of weeds will be gone one day. Peace.
Your Statman Scat brought to you by our good friends at General Tire. Go to GeneralTire.com to check out a lot of tires to keep your rides on the road. It's still crap hot out there, Freak Nation, and it's wet in portions of the country. Make sure you're rolling on a new set of General Tires. Go to GeneralTire.com. Again, you heard the Statman Scat. Noah Gragson is suspended indefinitely, not only by his team, but by NASCAR. The one thing that continues to stun me when instances like this happen with NASCAR, because, again, we've been doing this for over 23 years, Freak Nation, as recently as 5 years ago. Maybe I don't want to put a specific date on it, but NASCAR would not have reacted this quickly to suspend Noah Gragson for liking a tweet that, frankly, was offensive to many, many people. When Noah Gragson liked that tweet, I'm not sure the mechanics of how it all went about with NASCAR and the team, but bam, he is suspended. Am I wrong in thinking 5-6 years ago, Crasher, that NASCAR would have drugged their feet and really tried to just gauge fans' reaction before they take action?
Absolutely. We saw that from the inception of NASCAR all the way through about 5 or 6 years ago. So, yes, I fully agree with you that the Steves is what a lot of people call them, Steve O'Donnell and Steve Phelps. The Steves have changed the culture over there, and it's been refreshing to see over the last 4 or 5 years. So things now, there's no tolerance. They've said that and acted in that way for several years now, and that's much appreciated. No tolerance for hate or for lack of respect or for any sort of disrespect. No tolerance.
Statman, in our earlier conversation today, one thing that you brought up about his apology or alleged apology was he still didn't say he's sorry. And from your perspective, that's one thing that needs to happen between Noah Gragson and this fan base.
Or just that he needs to be apologized to somebody, if it's only to the sponsors, the people that are paying him grand theft money. He gets a bag every time he goes out on the track, and they're spending millions sponsoring his team. It makes no sense that he represents that team and represents that sponsor, and that sponsor doesn't want him out there saying something or doing something untoward that's going to cause people to not buy their products or services. He can think whatever he wants, like anybody else in America. But if he represents a company, then he needs to find out if that company is happy with his line of thinking. And if it's not, then, either don't spend their money or think the way they do.
You know what? You bring up a very good point there. He can think he can act upon however he wants to, because that's his right. I mean, that's what we've talked about for a long time as well. But he has to remember that, yes, he's not just representing sponsors on the side of his car. He's representing a race team, that business, and then the entire business of NASCAR. So say and do what you want to do. You do you, but just know that there are repercussions when you are representing so many, like you said, Statman, millions of dollars behind you. Now,
as we saw prior to this, we knew that Noah Gragson was not going to be back with Legacy Motorsports. But Crasher, you asked the question, and Suave, I don't know if you've seen this, or Statman, was this like of this controversial tweet? Did this just recently happen, or did this happen weeks ago prior to the announcement that Gragson would not be back with Legacy Motorsports?
Yeah, the timeline on that is weird.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Statman. I cut you off.
No, I understand it was recently, like maybe within the last couple of weeks, maybe even the last week. My understanding is it was recently. I could be wrong. I'm allowed to be wrong. I've been wrong enough. But yeah, I mean, he again, he can think whatever he wants. And if it's that important to him, then I imagine there are other drivers. He could join them and have a burner account, a false account, and say whatever he wants to. But if you're going to spend the money, then you got to be responsible when the people say, hey, you know, get out of here with that stuff.
I would like to see the timeline of when was this George Floyd meme like in comparison to when he did lose his ride for next season and the suspension from the team and then the suspension from NASCAR. I would like to kind of see a timeline to see if him losing his ride with the team for next year, is that an engine manufacturer thing, or is that also tied into behavioral issues, allegedly?
Here's an example of when you're in a certain sandbox, certain sandboxes have rules. I'm not comparing Howard Stern to Noah Gragson, not at all, but Howard Stern had enough of the FCC rules on radio, got the hell off, and went to a place where there are very little rules when it comes to audio and things you can say, to Sirius and Sirius XM. And now he can say anything he wants, controversial or not. Noah Gragson's in a sandbox where many corporate eyes are on him. There are certain things you can't say. There are certain things you can't do without getting slapped or, again, getting your legs cut out from underneath you and being suspended indefinitely. So I don't want to see your argument. He can say, yes, he can say anything he wants.
Right.
Statman just said it. He can like any tweet that he wants. There may be tweets that drivers like out there that I like, but might be controversial to somebody. Whatever the rules are, you got to play by them if you're going to subscribe and be a part of that business.
Yep.
It is. That's just a fact.
If one of the rules has racial insensitivity, then stay the heck away from that.
Yeah.
Stay the heck away. Because again, it comes down to the money. It's not just the rules that are in that sandbox, but it's the money. There's so, like Statman brought up, there are corporations that don't want to have to go to work on Monday with a picket line because of something Noah Gragson did. So yeah, just
think about that, man.
Do the right thing,
Statman,
people.
Wendy's was such a big player with Noah Gragson, and Wendy's has done their best to insert themselves into a contemporary retail food outlet, and then this happens. Whoa.
Yeah, and we have to remember also that Legacy Motorsports, the team that he drove for, the word is that they're changing from Chevrolet to Toyota next year, and Toyota is fairly aggressive about putting their drivers into their cars, guys that they want that come up through their ladder system, and maybe Gragson didn't fit in that system. Just like Monster does the same thing. Monster Energy Drink does the same thing. They move drivers around and they want their drivers in their cars. You know, that if they have a Red Bull driver driving a Monster car for a whole host of reasons, but you know, they want their drivers in their cars.
Yeah, there's so many tentacles to Noah losing his ride for next year. You're right.
sometimes with the advent of social media and the progression of social media, the best damn thing is just to stay the hell off of it. But that being said, how many times has Statman said to a driver or presented some question about social media? If you stay off social media, your sponsors aren't going to like that. It's just, and even when you have somebody else doing your social media, they have to be so careful not to accidentally sneeze. And don't even look at something that's controversial, because that like button just might decide to dislike you and go bam. All right, Freak Nation. Coming up, his name is Kyle Kirkwood. We got him here in the Freak Nation. Coming up next, he is your IndyCar Series winner from Nashville, a crap hot race. Crashville, as a lot of people call it. A lot of people's call it. And he joins us next. Speed Freaks Pits and Lucas Oil Studios.
Speed Freaks, Motorsports Radio, redefined.
Hey, Dad, what are you going to buy at the store today?
I'm out of Lucas Oil fuel treatment, so let's jump in here and grab us some.
Well, do they have the Lucas Oil parts cleaner and degreaser?
I bet they do.
Well, how about the Lucas Oil power steering fluid?
You know, they'll have that too.
Even the octane booster?
I won't be surprised if they do.
My favorite red and tacky grease?
Yes, they will, babe.
Dad, when we're done, can we grab some candy?
Deal, but you gotta share.
Awesome! Lucas works.
Bommarito Automotive Group 500 Worldwide Technology Raceway is not just a race, it's a spectacle.
Here we go! In St. Louis at Worldwide Technology Raceway.
It's time to mark your calendar. Saturday, August 26th and Sunday, August 27th.
Joseph Newgarden wins back-to-back years at Worldwide Technology Raceway.
Get your tickets now at www.raceway.com.
Whatever you do, General Tire delivers.
This segment of Speed Freaks is brought to you by BetterHelp. Now, you hear us talk about constant travel, time commitments, and a slew of other life schedules. Throw in some unexpected curveballs that life throws our way. It's easy to get lost and in need of some guidance to get back on track. And that's where BetterHelp.com comes in. Go to BetterHelp.com/freaks and get 10% off your first month. Tap into the world's largest network of licensed and experienced therapists who can help you with a range of issues, including depression, anxiety, relationships, grief, and more. With BetterHelp.com's therapist, you get the same quality you'd expect from an in-office therapist, but you can communicate with them when and how you want, anytime from anywhere. Let therapy be your map with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/freaks for 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp. That's HELP.com/freaks.
The weekend racing is over, or is it? Not on MAP TV. Monday is All-American Racing Night on the network which never leaves the track. Sit back and enjoy grassroots red, white, and blue racing from America's most iconic tracks. Whether it's the precise lines of pavement ovals or the door-banging action of the dirt, MAP TV's Monday night lineup will bring you all the action from this country's legendary four-wheel battlegrounds. Monday night is All-American Racing, only on MAP TV, Motorsports Network.
Okay, we are running a car drive right now to help veterans all across America. So if you have an old car, truck, or van, even a motorcycle or an RV sitting around, you can right now give it away and help the vets. They really need your help. And your car will help support the vets and their families. And guess what? You even get a tax donation. Plus, we'll even come and pick up your car for free. And all you've got to do is pick up your phone right now and make a free call. Now is the perfect time to do something good for the vets. Give back to the vets right now for all they've done for this country. And your old car can really help them. So call the Veterans Car Donation Program right now for free pickup of your vehicle. Help the vets and help your taxes at the same time. Call right now.
800-883-3024. 800-883-3024. 800-883-3024. That's 800-883-3024.
You're listening to Speed Freaks Motorsports Radio Redefined.
Freak Nation, Kyle Kirkwood joining us here in the Lucas Oil Studios. 23 years of doing this thing, Freak Nation. First time Kirkwood's been in here as an IndyCar winner. And chaos and madness should always be a part of the title of this Nashville race. However, there wasn't a whole lot of chaos in this SOB. Why wasn't there chaos in this race? Kirkwood?
I think, I said it before the race. I was like, you know what? The past couple of years have been super chaotic. So everyone is now going to have a hesitancy to race hard because they know if they just circulate, they stay on the lead lap, then they probably finish in the top 12. That's what happened last year. So maybe that's kind of what happened today. So it worked out well for us because we were kind of on the lead strategy. We were in a good position there. Cautions came out at the right time, not at the wrong time, based on pit strategy. So it was very fortunate for us that it was a clean race like that.
Kyle Kirkwood, your IndyCar Series winner from Nashville, joining us here in the Freak Nation. And typically, when I was there last year, it was just humid, hot, and gnarly. As a spectator, was it that bad this time? And you as a driver, what's that?
It still is. It's still hot and humid here. It hasn't changed.
But when you're leading the race, you don't have time to think about that heat and humidity, right?
No, you don't. I feel like whenever you're leading a race too, you kind of get a little bit of like extra confidence or extra adrenaline that you don't even think about the physicality of it. So I was actually all right. I'm kind of used to the humidity though. Being from South Florida, it's hot and humid there all year round. So it wasn't anything that was that new to me. So I feel like that kind of helps me. I actually do better in the humidity than I do in the dry, funny enough. So I did all right here as well last year. So
why would that be? That's an interesting statement. I do better in the humidity than in the dry. I can't. I mean, I grew up in Indianapolis. I'm used to humidity, but then I moved out to California and now I can't stand humidity. How do you say you can be better in humidity? Do you just pre-hydrate better? Your just body is, like you said, used to it? That's an interesting
statement. Know. I couldn't tell you, to be honest. A lot of the training that I do is actually like in the water, whether it's swimming or surfing. So I feel like my body's gotten used to being naturally wet and naturally having like a cooling supply. So whenever I go to a hot and dry race, I actually don't sweat that much. So I feel like I overheat due to that. Then I come to a humid place and I sweat the proper amount, I think. So, but not to get into too much information, but I feel like that's anatomy wise, I think that's the reason.
Look at this, an anatomy lesson with Kyle Kirkwood.
Yeah, potentially. Hey, I might be completely wrong.
No, it makes better sense than what I would have said. Hey, I want to know if you consider this win in Nashville kind of a statement win, in that there were some words exchanged, whether it's McLaughlin or Newgarden with you from Iowa 2 weeks ago, and now you beat their butts. Is this kind of a statement win in your head?
Not to them. No, they also did a great job. McLaughlin kept me on my toes the entire time there. I think they were a little upset, not only with me at Iowa, but with a handful of people that were trying to stay on the lead lap. Ultimately, they were super fast in Iowa. We weren't extremely fast like the Penske cars were. But we needed to race for about sixth place, even though we were going a lap down. So I kind of needed to do the best that I could to stay on the lead lap, especially in the closing stages of the race. So they were a little upset about that, but I wouldn't say it's a statement to them whatsoever. It's just nice to kind of have that redemption within myself and within the team, based on last year's performance where I crashed out, and kind of some of the other street courses that we had this year where we feel like we should have done a lot better than what we did.
Kyle Kirkwood won the Nashville race, IndyCar race today. You seem to have the field covered. You had a late race pit stop. You drove back into first place and won the race. Did you know you had the strong car when it came off the truck?
Yeah. I mean, we've shown up to every street course this year and been super strong. So I think our single lap pace, it was actually this was probably the least single lap pace that we've had all season long, but our race pace was phenomenal. So that was something that always kept us calm, obviously through the races, knowing I had pace on other drivers. And I'm not sure what happened there in the closing stages. I know Pelot was ahead of us for a little while, but he was in big fuel issues and had to pit really early and had to save a ton of fuel. So he was in trouble for a long time in that race. And we kind of just held back, stayed behind him, saved fuel with him, saved tires with him, and knew that we would cycle back ahead of him at some point. So we did everything right when it came to that.
When that happens, is there a big smile under the helmet, or are you concentrating so much on completing the race that you don't have time to think about how strong your car is?
You definitely you haven't finished anywhere until you finish. So you need to keep everything clean. There's no smile. There's no good feelings until you've completed the race, because anything can happen all the way to the last corner that we've seen in IndyCar.
Kyle Kirkwood joining us here in the Freak Nation. And curious, if you look at your point standings, you're still over 200 points behind first place in a shot at the championship. However, every year for the last 5-6 years, the IndyCar championship has come down to the last race. Asking a two-time winner in the IndyCar series if he'd like to have a playoff to where you win and you're in, Kyle Kirkwood, if there's a win and you're in with the playoffs with the IndyCar series, would you say yes or no?
No way.
Yeah,
I'd say if they gave us a playoff thing, I think that would be absolutely ridiculous. Pelot's had a phenomenal season. So Newgarden's done really well as too. But Pelot has just dominated this season, and when things don't go right, they still go right for him. He was sitting alongside of me just a second ago, where he finished third, and he was in a huge fuel deficit. So I don't know how they keep doing it, but it's the reason why they're at the front. I don't believe in any of that nonsense that you guys are talking about, playoff stuff.
Good for you.
Playoffs. Yeah, we need to insert that audio.
What is that?
Playoffs.
Right, exactly.
No, it's good. And again, there are all kinds of things that motorsports series have implemented to make it more interesting, but it's so unique for the IndyCar series. Why do you think that is? It comes down to the last race between 3, maybe 4 drivers.
You know, a lot of it is due to how tight the racing is here. You know, every weekend you don't know who's going to win. You're constantly back and forth. Like, you're always struggling to get inside the top 10, and then all of a sudden you're first. Next session you're back in 12th, and that's how the races go too. You never really know exactly what you have, and that's the reason why it kind of comes down to the last races, because everyone's kind of flip-flopping back and forth, no doubt. So yeah, I think that's really the main reason.
Okay, you win 5 races and you're still not running for the championship, Kirkwood. You want to play?
He gave his answers. No playoffs. Period.
Yeah, no, I don't believe in it. I think you need to execute all season long to win a championship.
I got it. Boom. All right, man. We'll see you in Indianapolis next weekend, dude. Thanks for doing this, man. Good luck to you. It's awesome to finally get you in the Freak Nation as an IndyCar winner, man.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
All right, buddy. Cool. See ya.
Have a good one.
He would not take the bait.
Oh, he did. He said no playoffs.
Well, he wouldn't take the bait and run with it and say, yeah, sure, let's throw some playoffs in there. If I win 5 races, I might as well have some playoffs if I'm not.
No, the bait was thrown out, and he said nothing. That bait sucks to me. He didn't want it. So, yeah, no. His answer was clear.
By the way, IndyCar runs at Indianapolis on the road course next weekend. And don't forget, coming up the end of August, on August 27th, the IndyCar race at Worldwide Technology Raceway. A huge weekend, Saturday, Sunday in St. Louis. Make sure you're part of that. Freak Nation will be hanging out. See if you can join the Freaks. Statman, any indication with the IndyCar series, if Scott Dixon ran away with 5 championships over the last 5 years, ran away with it, would you implement a playoff for IndyCar?
No. You could win 10 races and not win on 4 races in the first round of the playoffs, and you're gone. Tell me how that makes sense. I mean, if you have a great season, then have a great season. If your racing is not good enough to be entertaining, then do something about that. Don't manufacture drama.
Well, they are fortunate, I will say that, over the last many years to where they don't need a playoff implemented into the IndyCar series. I remember NASCAR back in the day, man, going to that final race, you'd have Jimmy Jack up front and no one was contending for a championship the last 2 or 3 races. Like, the hell am I going to do this weekend? Go out there and mow the lawn, even though it's freaking winter or November. Just pretend. All right, Freak Nation, your Crash Gladys pit news and notes coming up next. And I almost said Brian Brown, a sprint car badass next hour. And Ben Maier, 14-year-old running in the T8-2 class. It's coming up next. Speed Freaks Pits and the Lucas Oil Studio.
Speed Freaks, Motorsports Radio, redefined.
Whatever you do, General Tire delivers.
Hey, Dad, what are you going to buy at the store today?
I'm out of Lucas Oil fuel treatment, so let's jump in here and grab us some.
Well, do they have the Lucas Oil parts cleaner and degreaser?
I bet they do.
Well, how about the Lucas Oil power steering fluid?
You know, they'll have that too.
Even the octane booster?
I won't be surprised if they do.
My favorite red and tacky grease?
Yes, they will, babe.
Dad, when we're done, can we grab some candy?
Deal, but you gotta share.
Awesome! Lucas works.
Bommarito Automotive Group 500 the Worldwide Technology Raceway is not just a race, it's a spectacle.
Here we go! In St. Louis at Worldwide Technology Raceway.
It's time to mark your calendar. Saturday, August 26th and Sunday, August 27th.
Joseph Newgarden wins back-to-back years at Worldwide Technology Raceway.
Get your tickets now at www.raceway.com.
This segment of Speed Freaks is brought to you by BetterHelp. Now, you hear us talk about constant travel, time commitments, and a slew of other life schedules. Throw in some unexpected curveballs that life throws our way. It's easy to get lost and in need of some guidance to get back on track. And that's where BetterHelp.com comes in. Go to BetterHelp.com/freaks and get 10% off your first month. Tap into the world's largest network of licensed and experienced therapists who can help you with a range of issues, including depression, anxiety, relationships, grief, and more. With BetterHelp.com's therapist, you get the same quality you'd expect from an in-office therapist, but you can communicate with them when and how you want, anytime from anywhere. Let therapy be your map with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/freaks for 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp. That's HELP.com/freaks.
The weekend racing is over, or is it? Not on MAP TV. Monday is All-American Racing Night on the network which never leaves the track. Sit back and enjoy grassroots red, white, and blue racing from America's most iconic tracks. Whether it's the precise lines of pavement ovals or the door-banging action of the dirt, MAP TV's Monday night lineup will bring you all the action from this country's legendary four-wheel battlegrounds. Monday night is All-American Racing, only on MAP TV, Motorsports Network.
Are you worried about your taxes? Okay, so I'm talking to those of you out there that have not filed in a few years with the IRS or state. It's time to get worried, and here's why. The IRS is getting back from their own COVID lockdown, and they're hiring more enforcers, and they're going to come after people that owe taxes. So if you're a 1099 worker, and maybe you just plain forgot to file your taxes, you need to call the professionals right now at the Tax Helpline. They are experts at knowing the tax regulations evaluations, and their goal is to help you pay as little as possible. Call right now and get a 100% free tax evaluation. Remember, before the IRS knocks on your door, knock on our door. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes, make this free call right now.
Call Texas 321 now at 800-808-9443. 800-808-9443. That's 800-808-9443.
You're listening to Speed Freaks Motorsports Radio Redefined.
Coming up, we got the Knoxville Nationals this week. So we're going to have Brian Brown, a Knoxville National Sprint Car, 410 Sprint Car specialist. He'll be joining us next hour, talking a little bit about that. Also, Ben Maier, 14 years old, running in the TA2 class of the Trans Am Series, beating dudes like Boris said. He'll be joining us next hour. But first, Crash Gladys Pit News and Notes are brought to you by good friends at Lucas Oil. Go to lucasoil.com to find all the products to keep your engine happy, the exterior of your car, interior of your car happy. Don't believe me? Go to lucasoil.com. A line of products, man, that'll blow you away. If you haven't checked out their website, 2-wheel, 4-wheel, speedboat, they got it. Go to lucasoil.com. Crasher?
All right. Well, IndyCar Nashville was no Crashville. I heard that cute word that you brought up there earlier, Kenny.
Yep.
It was not Crashville this year like it was the prior 2 years, even though a red flag was needed with a handful of laps to go, just because they did not want to end the race on yellow. Bottom line, though, Kyle Kirkwood had the best strategy and had one heck of a speedy car, so he deserved that win. TA2 Trans Am raced Saturday. That was the Connor Zilic show on these streets that are so hard to pass. He drove from last to first. It was a technicality that forced him to start last, and he drove through the field.
And how old is he?
Oh, Connor Zilic, yeah. We've got Ben Maier on next hour, who's 14 years old, driving in the TA2 series. Connor Zilic, he's a grandpa already at 16. He's 2 years older. It's crazy. Okay. It's just, what?
No, I said, yep.
It's crazy.
He's a teenager, too.
Yes. All right, Stadium Super Trucks on Saturday saw Robert Stout as the winner, but Robbie Gordon notched the truck win come Sunday. This is a cool story, guys. The IMSA Sports Car Series was back on track at Road America, where they tallied the largest crowd for the IMSA Sports Car Series ever at Road America since their debut race, which was at that track in 1979. Economy issues, what? What?
We're 65% of the crowd from freaking Phoenix because it's 115 here. We're to go up there where it's 75 degrees. Hell yes.
Yeah,
you kidding me?
Add in perfect weather, and yes, that is a plus.
Yes.
But it was a crowd that witnessed the two GTP points leaders out even before the green flag flew. So that allowed Felipe Nasser and Matt Campbell to drive their Penske Porsche to a dominating win, their first win, by the way, in that GTP machine. Knoxville 360 Nationals were last night, and Brian Brown was in victory lane. Kenny has teased that Brian Brown is joining us. He joined us before the 360 Nationals weekend, just a couple days prior, from Knoxville. So he was getting all set, telling us that he kind of uses these 360 Nationals to set up for the Knoxville Nationals, the big 410 week, which will commence starting Wednesday. How about that? A win. Yeah, look out for him coming up. NASCAR race, the Cup race, I should say, has been postponed to Monday after just 74 of the 200 laps were complete in Michigan. Tyler Reddick to restart as the leader, noon Eastern time on Monday. In the Xfinity Series, it was John Hunter Nemechek grabbing his 5th win on the season and win number 200 in the Xfinity Series for boss man Joe Gibbs. Wow. Sticking with the big numbers, in the ARCA Series, it was Jesse Love. It's not consecutive, right? 6 races on the season. I don't think they're all consecutive. I know he had 5 consecutive, but Jesse Love, 6 wins on the season, and he raced to literal exhaustion because he did his winter interview sitting next to his car on the racetrack. He was so hot. His cool suit failed, so there is that.
Again, your name's Jesse Love. You can sit anywhere, baby.
Yeah, he's the love doctor.
Mm-hmm.
The love doctor. But yeah, there it is. News and notes, baby.
All right. Crash Glass Pit News and Notes brought to you by good friends at Lucas Oil. Go to lucasoil.com to check out a line of products to keep all your rides. 2-wheel, 4 wheels, speedboat, just a cruiser. Lucas Oil has everything to keep your rides, as I've said many times before, fat and happy. Ben Maier joins us in about 25 minutes. 14-year-old ran 2 races in the truck series, the Super Truck Series in Nashville. That was Saturday and Sunday. And then today, the TA2 class of the Trans Am Series.
That was yesterday. Trans Am was Saturday. Stadium Super Trucks were each day. Yeah.
Ben Maier joins us, as I said, next hour. And we taped it earlier, but it was only after he got off the gurney from getting an IV because it was so crap hot in Nashville. When I was at Nashville last year, Statman, it's one of those days where it's so hot you feel the sweat beating off your butt and rolling down the back of your pant leg to where if you sit down, it's going to look like you pissed your pants backwards because it's so hot. You've had those days, Statman, where it's beating off your butt and that sweat's rolling down the back of your leg, buddy.
Statman's too cool for that.
Hey,
nice.
He wouldn't take the bait on that one. Yeah. So
let me say one other thing. If we got the time here.
Yeah, we do.
All the noise about it's impossible to pass at Nashville, and it's too crowded, and the road's too narrow. And Connor Zilic drove from last to first, and Ben Maier drove from like 16th, to the top 10. And these are teenagers. They're finding a way to pass. So all of these loudmouth drivers just, man, I'm like, forget that. It's, if you can drive the car, you can beat people.
Isn't it usually parents saying to their kids, no excuses, no excuses? And now it's the teenagers, the kids showing on the racetrack, no excuses, just drive.
What I would like to see is a time-lapse video of Connor Zilic starting from last and working his way to first in about 90 seconds.
Yeah, nobody's told them that they can't do it, so they're doing it.
Mm-hmm. That would be a cool video.
Right. Again, if you haven't heard, the NASCAR race is postponed until tomorrow. Suave, we have a designated time for that race tomorrow. What might that be, my friend?
I believe it's noon Eastern.
As
is the case for most Monday races.
Right. And again, they weren't even halfway through that damn thing. I think it was, what'd you say, Crash?
74 out of 200 laps complete.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's plenty of racing left in the NASCAR race in Michigan. You heard the topics at the top of the show. Noah Gragson suspended indefinitely by NASCAR. Jimmy Johnson not unanimously voted into the Hall of Fame. And Chase Elliott crapping the bed when it comes to trying to get his butt in the playoffs. Listen, it's not a stretch to say Chase Elliott's not going to make the playoffs. Chase Elliott's not going to make the playoffs. And I should have made that statement when I actually felt that way 4 or 5 weeks ago.
No, you did.
Did I?
I thought you did on this show about a month ago saying, no, he's done.
I just spent 2 days in Vegas, Crasher. I don't remember what the hell I did last Thursday. Was there a Thursday last week? I may have missed.
Yeah, every week has a Thursday, so they didn't have one last week.
Right.
Speaking of Vegas, I did spend part of yesterday afternoon with some friends at what's called Beer Park, which is right on the Strip, only a couple of, maybe just one story up for the Paris Hotel. And I just got curious. I'm like, oh man, this would be ideal for the Formula One race. Here's an already established bar. It's huge. It's got lots of room. I wonder what the tickets are for, let's just go into the restaurant Beer Park. $5,500.
Bang.
$5,500. I was just sitting there yesterday and I got one drink. $5,500.
Does that include the beer, or do you have to pay for the beer on top of the $5,500?
I think you're paying for the beer on top of it.
And Richie, what's the magic ball that there's?
Oh, the sphere. Yeah.
They're supposed to open that up this week, by the way.
We saw it glowing.
It's not open.
Was it a big eye?
I did see an eye. Yes.
Uh-huh.
It was creepy. It was like a bird eye, and it was blinking, and I'm like, ew, weird feathers.
I don't know. It looked like a dinosaur eye to me. What is it, Richie? What's the eye?
It's a human eye.
Oh,
yeah, it's usually like a human eye. Yeah,
this did not
in the
look like a
past.
human eye.
I can't wait until F1 weekend when they turn into a massive, like each driver's head gets its own like. Every hour they rotate it, so you get a massive
Oh, you're
Max
kidding.
Verstappen. No, I'm just making that up, but it would be cool, wouldn't it? I should just ran with them. But like, yes, Christ, they're doing that. Yes, big Max Verstappen head on the.
There ain't enough room for Verstappen's head on that thing.
No, I don't think they did.
Hey, also found out. I don't want to disappoint anybody out there, but the OG pomp and circumstance hotel outside of Caesars. The next legacy after that was the Mirage with the volcano, the fire, and the water. That's going to be demolished, and Hard Rock's coming in, and they're putting up a hotel that's going to be shaped like a guitar. Statman, that hotel is going to be shaped like a guitar. Don't answer. I've got 26 seconds. It's going to be over 500 feet tall. So about 55, 60 stories of a guitar. Yeah. Freak Nation, a big second hour. Travis Pastrana has a lot to do with one of our guests' career. And Ben Maier joins us, as well as Brian Brown. It's all coming up. SpeedFreaks Pits and the Lucas Oil Studios, Freak Nation.
Speed Freaks, Motorsports Radio, redefined.
There is less than 1/100th of an inch of motor oil protecting your car's engine. Friction and heat causes engine oil to experience thermal breakdown, weakening its ability to protect the engine and its parts. Lucas Heavy Duty Oil Stabilizer is specially formulated to resist thermal breakdown, protect vital engine parts, and extend the life of your engine. It also stops smoking, knocking, and oil consumption in worn engines. Lucas Heavy Duty Oil Stabilizer. Keep that engine alive. Whatever you do, General Tire delivers.
It's not just a race, it's a spectacle.
In St. Louis at Worldwide Technology Raceway.
It's time to muck your calendar. Saturday, August 26th and Sunday, August 27th.
Joseph Newgarden wins back-to-back years at Worldwide Technology Raceway.
Get your tickets now at www.raceway.com.
The weekend racing is over, or is it? Not on MAV TV. Monday is All-American Racing Night on the network which never leaves the track. Sit back and enjoy grassroots red, white, and blue racing from America's most iconic tracks. Whether it's the precise lines of pavement ovals or the door-banging action of the dirt, MAV TV's Monday night lineup bring you all the action from this country's legendary four-wheel battlegrounds. Monday night is All-American Racing, only on MAV TV, Motorsports Network.
Do you own an annuity, either fixed rate, indexed, or variable? Are you paying high fees and getting low returns? If so, Annuity General would like you to have this free book to learn the pitfalls and mistakes of buying an annuity. The Annuity Do's and Don'ts for Baby Boomers contains the little-known truths about annuities, like how to help reduce your fees and increase retirement income. And it's free. That's right, free. As a bonus, we'll also throw in a free annuity rate report just for calling. We researched over 1,000 annuities and summarized rates and benefits from financially strong insurers. You get Annuity Do's and Don'ts for Baby Boomers and the Annuity Rate Report, both absolutely free for calling Annuity General today. Hurry, supplies are limited. Call now.
800-273-7075. 800-273-7075. 800-273-7075. That's 800-273-7075.
You're listening to Speed Freaks, Motorsports Radio Redefined.
Please hang up and try again.
Freak Radio Network, broadcasting from the Lucas Oil Studios, driven by General Tire. It's Speed Freaks, Motorsports Radio Redefined with Kenny Sargent.
We love to party.
Crash Gladys.
What are we doing for the bachelorette party?
And Statman.
I am serious.
Here's the Freaks.
Looking forward to this second hour of Freak Nation. Ben Maier, 14-year-old Trans Am driver, ran the Trans Am race yesterday. Yesterday, and the Super Trucks yesterday and today. 14-year-old Ben Maier will be joining us in about 15 minutes here in the Freak Nation. He's on the new show On the Rise on MAV TV this Thursday night, 8 p.m. Eastern. He'll be with us coming up this hour. Also, Brian Brown, who won the 360s at the Knoxville Nationals 360 class.
Yes, the 360 Nationals, they call it. Right now, there's the, oh goodness, what is it? It's not, I can never think of the name, Kalahari Classic.
Yes.
I don't know exactly what the name is, but there's a classic racing as we speak right now. But last night was the 360 Nationals.
So Brian Brown will be joining us this hour. Last hour hit plenty of topics regarding NASCAR. One wasn't, of course, the finish in Michigan. It will resume tomorrow, noon Eastern time. We're talking about Noah Gragson being suspended indefinitely. Jimmy Johnson not getting the full 100% vote count on his Hall of Fame induction. He's inducted, but still, Jimmy Johnson not getting the 100%. And then, of course, Chase Elliott, who his chances of getting into the playoffs, to the dismay of millions of Chase Elliott fans, looks like dude will not be in playoffs. The momentum is not there to get him in there at all.
Still, anything can happen. We thought Austin Dillon was on the chopping block June of last summer. He wins Daytona. He's in. Anything can happen. Yeah.
So, Freak Nation, be sure you follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, the website, speedfreaks.tv. You're watching us on MAV TV. Thank you very much for listening to us on the Freak Radio Network. I was talking about Ben Maier earlier, and last hour I kind of teased how Travis Pastrana, one of the biggest motorsports personalities on the planet, had something to do with his career. Here's Travis Pastrana talking about meeting Ben Maier, this 14-year-old driver who's going to be featured on MAV TV Thursday night for On the Rise. Ben Maier, Trans Am TA2 pilot, got himself a top 10 yesterday in Nashville. But Travis Pastrana talking about how he met Ben Maier. Get the hell out of here. There's a story out there, Travis. I was talking with a friend of mine at MAV TV, and he told me a story about this kid, Ben Maier, 14 years old, who challenged you. Right. Can you share with the nation this story between you and Ben?
So Ben's awesome. He's a phenomenal driver. He's going to be a lot like a Scott Speed, to be honest. Like he's a little more robotic than I'll ever be. Comes from karting background. Down in GoPro Motorsports Park or whatever all the time down in North Carolina. He's from literally 20 minutes down the road from me in Maryland. Great family, and he jumps into motocross. He had also jumped in at 13 years old to the State Super Trucks with Robbie Burton. I think he got a second in his first race out. Like he's phenomenal. But he, like any kid, he talked a little bit of crap, not bad, but I was like, all right, you got to kind of like earn this a little bit, because Deegan and I were battling and he was in third, and he came up and he was catching us at the end of the race on day one. And he's like, I'm the fastest one out there. I was definitely quicker than you guys. I'm like, maybe, but that's what you think. That's what every driver has to think. If you don't think that you're the best, you shouldn't be out. Every single person thinks that. But I'm trying to teach him a lesson. I said, okay, kid. So if you're fastest in qualifying tomorrow, he's like, I will be. I was like, all right, I'll give you $1,000. Just best lap. Fastest one in qualifying. I said, but if you're not, I want you to go to your teacher, professor, or whoever, whatever school you're going to, and I want you to write a 5-page essay on why not to talk crap that you can't back up. And I want him to grade it and to check it until he gives an A on that with all your grammar and everything else. I don't want it, but I want that signed and framed. I'm going to put it up in my shop. Sure as shit, that little kid kicked my butt. He beat Brian. He beat me. He qualified second to another kid named Greg out there, and had the best run of his life. And I had to pay him $1,000. So his mom goes, well, where's his letter? Say, don't talk shit. You can't back up. I said, well, I'll either give him $1,000 or I will happily write a letter. He took $1,000.
Oh,
talk about your all-time backfire, boys.
Yeah, Travis Pastrana setting the careers for people out there, including Ben Maier, dropping a couple S-bombs. My apologies to those out there that don't like to hear S-bombs, but they just happen. But looking at what Travis Pastrana means to the Ben Maiers of the world, and even Richard T. Suave admitted it, if Travis Pastrana's in a race, he's more than likely going to watch it. I don't care if it's Formula One or if it's Nitro Cross. Regardless, he's going to watch it. But again, Travis Pastrana doing what he does, Crasher, and helping out the careers of 14-year-old TA2 Trans Am drivers.
My favorite part of that response right there was, I wanted to teach him a lesson. I'm like, now we're on Daddy Pastrana right now. Yeah, Travis is so good to fellow racers, to obviously the fans. We see him just always taking time for people who just appreciate him. I mean, he's just an amazing person from the inside out. And Travis, he's kind of helping Ben now with his career, and who knows where Ben could be elevated to thanks to Travis.
Suave, I was thinking about this over the last 30 seconds.
Oh.
That who's the equivalent of Travis Pastrana in stick and ball sports? Is there anyone like him? Because Travis Pastrana crashes. He crosses all genres of motorsports and frankly sports because of the tie-in with the X Games and ESPN. Is there anybody out there in sports, stick and ball sports like him?
That crosses over like that. The only ones I can think of, and the first name that comes to mind in terms of being a worldwide superstar, and he's been in headlines lately, is something like a Messi.
Yeah, that's who I was thinking. Yeah.
And here in North American sports, the only one I can think of is LeBron James. Yeah. But I don't think they even really come close to what Travis Pastrana can do, because Messi and LeBron James are just known for talking basketball, but they're known around the world, whereas Travis Pastrana is known for so many things across the world, which makes him so unique.
Statman's chewing on some cud right there. I know he wants to say something when it comes to Travis Pastrana. If you haven't seen Statman's man cave, he's got about $17,000 worth of Travis Pastrana gear in there.
He did make some headline this week where Subaru announced that he's coming back to the American Rally Championship, and he's got 6 championships already. So he's going for at least the 7th next year. So he's not stopping, even with his entrepreneurial Nitro Circus and the Rally Cross, all the other things that he's doing. He's going back into American rallying, where he'll come close to winning another championship.
One thing you don't see Travis Pastrana doing? Liking a George Floyd, controversial George Floyd tweet on Twitter.
Well, not under the name Travis. He might do it under the name Joe Smith or something, but yeah.
Is it? Well, okay, now here goes. Statman pulled out the freaking shovel, so here I go. Is there anyone out there in pro sports that has been associated with more burner counts than Kevin Durant with the Suns? Oh, yes?
I have 2. You're right. Kevin Durant.
You mean you have 2 burner counts?
No. I have 2 people that come to mind.
Okay.
Oh, I thought you meant burner accounts too.
I do. Actually, I do have like 8 accounts on Twitter.
Sweet.
Oh.
But yes, you're right. You're right. Kevin Durant, very well known for doing it. But also, do you guys remember, talk about rabbit holes, many, many years ago, back when we were doing the Daily Sports Show here in Phoenix? Do you guys remember Brian Colangelo?
Oh, come on.
When he was straight up fired because he had a burner account that was like giving away information.
That's right.
Yeah, I would imagine there's a number of them. You know, the people just want to be out there stirring up stuff, and they don't want their name attached to some of the things you're saying.
How do you find out if someone has a burner account?
Yeah, that's kind of where I was going. And yeah.
It's a lot of times you can kind of figure it out based on how they talk, and a lot of times they will tweet from the wrong account, especially on Twitter. I think that's how like Brian Colangelo was possibly caught. He was caught liking some stuff across the line, just using the same vocabulary across different accounts. And that's what KD does, and that's what Brian Colangelo, if I'm not mistaken, did in this as well.
Yeah, it's hard. I don't have burner accounts, but I'll sometimes tweet something to the family, and they'll say, "Yeah, get it on the right thing."
Tweet or text?
Text.
Yeah.
And, you know, or, I'm thinking I'm texting and I'm tweeting and texting. You know, you're holding 2 or 3 conversations at once, and you send the wrong thing out, and people reach out and smack you a little bit and say, come on, old man.
That man just invented Twexting. There you go.
There you go.
Not a boy.
But we can't even say that anymore. It's more Xting.
Freak Nation. His name is Ben Maier. This Thursday night on the Rise on MAV TV, Thursday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, you'll see a young man, 14 years old, kicking some booty. And we're going to feature that interview with him coming up next. Speed Freaks Pits and the Lucas Oil Studio.
Speed Freaks, Motorsports Radio, redefined.
From the labs at Lucas Oil Products, Lucas Oil Complete Engine Treatment is a multifunctional cleaner plus lubricant. For every fill-up of gas or diesel, add 1 16-ounce can of Lucas Oil Complete Engine Treatment. 1 bottle can treat a tank of up to 21 gallons. Its special additives allows a better fuel burn to help increase your miles per gallon. Expect longer engine life, longer oil life, cleaner exhaust, and less fuel consumption. Lucas Oil, it works.
Whatever you do, General Tire delivers.
The Bommarito Automotive Group 500 Worldwide Technology Raceway is not just a race, it's a spectacle.
Here we go! It's St. Louis at Worldwide Technology Raceway.
It's time to mark your calendar. Saturday, August 26th and Sunday, August 27th.
Joseph Newgarden wins back-to-back years at Worldwide Technology Raceway.
Get your tickets now at www.raceway.com.
This segment of Speed Freaks is brought to you by BetterHelp. Now, you hear us talk about constant travel, time commitments, and a slew of other life schedules. Throw in some unexpected curveballs that life throws our way. It's easy to get lost and in need of some guidance to get back on track. And that's where BetterHelp.com comes in. Go to BetterHelp.com/freaks and get 10% off your first month. Tap into the world's largest network of licensed and experienced therapists who can help you with a range of issues, including depression, anxiety, relationships, grief, and more. With BetterHelp.com's therapist, you get the same quality you'd expect from an in-office therapist, but you can communicate with them when and how you want, anytime from anywhere. Let therapy be your map with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/freaks for 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp. That's HELP.com/freaks.
The weekend racing is over, or is it? Not on MAP TV. Monday is All-American Racing Night on the network which never leaves the track. Sit back and enjoy grassroots red, white, and blue racing from America's most iconic tracks. Whether it's the precise lines in ovals or the door-banging action of the dirt, MAP TV's Monday night lineup will bring you all the action from this country's legendary Corby battlegrounds. Monday night is All-American Racing, only on MAP TV, Motorsports Network.
You're listening to Speed Freaks, Motorsports Radio Redefined.
You're back with the Freaks. Statman, Crash Gladys, Kenny Sargent, Lucas Oil Studios, rolling on General Tires, Freak Nation. The website, speedfreaks.tv, and of course, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We're there for you. MAV TV, the home of the Freak Nation, by the way, on top of the Freak Radio Network. His name is Ben Maier, joining us here in the Freak Nation. First time he's been in the Freak Nation. And frankly, it has everything to do with two things. One is Travis Pastrana, and two, MAV TV. Before we get into all that madness, Ben, share with the Freak Nation. Remember, this is a 2-hour show, but share with the Freak Nation what you were doing before we did this damn interview, and show us your arm, buddy.
Right before this interview, I was getting an IV.
Because he had a couple of super truck races in Nashville on the road course that the IndyCar race was on, and a TA2 Trans Am race. So needless to say, 1440, 140, you might need some fluids after that. You got yourself a top 10 in the Trans Am, the TA2 race. That's pretty badass. Again, it still amazes a lot of us that a 14-year-old can beat the bejesus out of old dudes. Congratulations, man.
Thank you. That's one of the toughest series I've raced in. They're also the biggest cars I've raced in. Not the most horsepower. The Stadium Super Trucks have more horsepower, but I like driving those cars the most. They're just a lot of competition, and I really enjoy doing them.
You know, it probably looks like when I used to drive a big freaking 76 Cadillac, probably looks the same thing when I was like 15, 16 years old with your little head and those big old cars. I've seen the pictures and the video. It's a freaking beast. Is there a time where you just get lost in that car?
Not really. I've done like the first race I was a little like sort of lost, but I did a lot of go-karting, and we've like adapted to learning tracks like as soon as we see them. So I learned stuff pretty quickly, and the first race in the TA2, the clutch was burning up when I got on track, so I didn't get any laps until the actual race, so I didn't get any practice or none of the qualifying or anything. So I just
come on
straight into the race with no laps and went from 20 or 40th to like 20th.
No problem. They just throw you to the wolves, don't they?
Yes, they do.
Ben, we're so excited for your upcoming episode on The Rise on MAV TV on Thursday night, 8 p.m. Eastern. And in that, I know that your dad talks about how he does a lot of training with you. You have this amazing setup in your backyard for off-roading, motocrossing, but you learn basically all forms of driving with your dad. Is he your number one teacher? I would imagine that answer is yes, but tell me why he is so good for you.
He's just like, I like trust him because he's my dad, and he might not always be right, just because I probably have more experience in race cars than him. I'm the first one in my family to drive cars, or not drive cars, but drive cars for like a living. So I can like trust him in what he tells me. He also did like rode bikes, so he taught me how to jump stuff like the motocross bikes in my backyard. And I can also tell him some stuff sometimes too. But he usually gives me ideas like when he's watching the races at Nitro Rallycross. He told me to cut across ruts more, and because that's how I flipped at Glen Helen. So he saw that when he was watching something that I couldn't see, and that was helpful.
I'm stunned here. I looked up the results. Ben Maier, Trans Am driver, Trans Am TA2 driver, and stadium truck driver, kart driver, side-by-side driver. He's not a taxi driver yet, but given time, he'll be doing that as well. But one of the names that finished behind you in the Trans Am race at Nashville is a friend of the Freaks. Boris said, you talk about teaching people to drive. He's taught some of the fastest guys in NASCAR how to drive. And this weekend, you schooled him. What was that like? Do you even have any idea who Boris said is?
Yeah, I've talked to him a little bit and know his kid some, or not really know him, but I've talked to him as well. So we've met, and it's pretty cool to be able to race with him because of what he's done in racing. He's getting older as the days goes on. I'm not calling him old, but he's...
Oh, Ben, wait a minute.
That's
great.
great.
One statement alone. That's incredibly wonderful. And we got to get, Boris hasn't been on the show in a while, but we got to get him. We got to play that sound bite. He's getting older as the day goes on. That's just wonderful. But you beat him. Was he in the same race with you? Did you even know he was in the race? You were in front of him.
Yeah, I think it was pretty cool. Us kids just can come into these series, and we have like a whole nother, like, more energy, just a bunch of stuff is on our side. So it's just,
there was another guy, Ben Maier, another guy behind you in that TA2 race at Nashville, was a NASCAR team owner. Maybe you, Justin Marks, you ought to be showing him some more respect. If you keep beating him, maybe he's not going to hire you to drive for his team when you get old enough.
Yeah, Justin's a great guy. I've talked to him a bunch, and he is just amazing. He's helped so many people.
Wait a minute. I'm sorry to cut you off, Ben, but he is a business partner with Pitbull. So maybe you could work out a deal with Justin, let him stay on your fender a little bit. Maybe you could meet Pitbull out of the deal.
Yeah, that would be cool. I think it'd definitely help my career.
His name is Ben Maier, Freak Nation, running in the Trans Am TA2 class, super trucks, and anything else you can put him in. He got some major league recognition from Travis Pastrana. He's on The Rise, coming up 8 p.m. Eastern on MAV TV. And you look at really what you've done over
Thursday, by the way.
Thursday. Thank you. In your short career, Ben, it is bonkers. When MAV TV was following you around with all these cameras, how long did it take you to really put the cameras aside and Ben to be Ben and your dad Jim to be Jim, ignoring the cameras?
We do like a lot of stuff for our Instagram and YouTube. So I've done a little bit of the camera stuff. So it wasn't like too different. It's just they also had they were like a professional camera team. So it was a little more nerve-wracking just having them around. And then it took me probably 2 days or so to set in and get comfortable with all the guys all the crew, the camera crew. And I'm not really sure about my dad. I don't know how long it took him, but.
Oh man, I'm just amazed you're upright at this point. The fact that you had such a hell of a weekend and 2 races with the super trucks and of course the TA2 class in Trans Am. It's badass, Freak Nation. Mm-hmm. Thursday night on The Rise, Ben Maier, MAV TV, 8 p.m. Eastern. That's 8 p.m. Eastern, Thursday night on The Rise on MAV TV. What's next for Ben Maier?
We've been on the road for a month or so in Mooresville, just with the silver hair crew that I raced with Trans Am, and a bunch of we've just gone to shops. We've been to race gear company called Simpson and got some new racing gear that I used this weekend, and just been meeting people down in Mooresville. So we've been doing that, and I think we're going to go back down there for the next few days after this, or after we leave Nashville. So that's what's coming up, like next. But my next race is probably my next Trans Am race.
Got it.
At Watkins Glen.
Ben Maier here in the Freak Nation, 14 years old. Freaks doing more in the last 2 or 3 years than most of us do in a freaking lifetime.
And he doesn't even have a driver's license for the street.
No. On the rise.
But he's schooling people at racetracks.
On the rise, coming up Thursday night, 8 p.m. Eastern on MAV TV. You follow him around for 30 minutes, but they jam in many, many days and weeks of different forms of racing with Ben Maier and company. Buddy, good luck to you. We're happy you got yourself off that gurney with the IV. It's good to get you in the Freak Nation, man.
Yeah, it's a pleasure meeting you guys, and thank you.
Ben Maier here in the Freak Nation. Brian Brown next. Knoxville Nationals coming up, baby. And we got your insight.
Speed Freaks, Motorsports Radio, redefined.
Whatever you do, General Tire delivers.
Hey, Dad, what are you going to buy at the store today?
I'm out of Lucas Oil fuel treatment, so let's jump in here and grab us some.
Well, do they have the Lucas Oil parts cleaner and degreaser?
I bet they do.
Well, how about the Lucas Oil power steering fluid?
You know, they'll have that too.
Even the octane booster?
I won't be surprised if they do.
My favorite red and tacky grease?
Yes, they will, babe.
Dad, when we're done, can we grab some candy?
Deal, but you gotta share.
Awesome! Lucas works.
The Bommarito Automotive Group 500 Worldwide Technology Raceway is not just a race, it's a spectacle.
Here we go! In St. Louis at Worldwide Technology Raceway.
It's time to mark your calendar. Saturday, August 26th and Sunday, August 27th.
Joseph Newgarden wins back-to-back years at Worldwide Technology Raceway.
Get your tickets now at www.raceway.com.
This segment of Speed Freaks is brought to you by BetterHelp. Now, you hear us talk about constant travel, time commitments, and a slew of other life schedules, throwing some unexpected curveballs that life throws our way. It's easy to get lost and in need of some guidance to get back on track. And that's where BetterHelp.com comes in. Go to BetterHelp.com/freaks and get 10% off your first month. Tap into the world's largest network of licensed and experienced therapists who can help you with a range of issues, including depression, anxiety, relationships, grief, and more. With BetterHelp.com's therapist, you get the same quality you'd expect from an in-office therapist, but you can communicate with them when and how you want, anytime from anywhere. Let therapy be your map with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/freaks for 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp. That's HELP.com/freaks.
The weekend racing is over, or is it? Not on MAP TV. Monday is All-American Racing Night on the network which never leaves the track. Sit back and enjoy grassroots red, white, and blue racing from America's most iconic tracks. Whether it's the precise lines of pavement ovals or the door-banging action of the dirt, MAP TV's Monday night lineup will bring you all the action from this country's legendary four-wheel battlegrounds. Monday night is All-American Racing, only on MAP TV, Motorsports Network.
Are you worried about your taxes? Okay, so I'm talking to those of you out there that have not filed in a few years with the IRS or state. It's time to get worried, and here's why. The IRS is getting back from their own COVID lockdown, and they're hiring more enforcers, and they're going to come after people that owe taxes. So if you're a 1099 worker, and maybe you just plain forgot to file your taxes, you need to call the professionals right now at the Tax Helpline. They are experts at knowing the tax regulations evaluations, and their goal is to help you pay as little as possible. Call right now and get a 100% free tax evaluation. Remember, before the IRS knocks on your door, knock on our door. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes, make this free call right now.
Call Texas 321 now at 800-808-9443. 800-808-9443. That's 800-808-9443.
You're listening to Speed Freaks, Motorsports Radio Redefined.
Freak Nation, weather extremes right now from coast to coast, border to border. That's why you should go to lucasoil.com to find the products to keep the inside of your engine running cool. Go to lucasoil.com. What about the exterior of your car? It's burning up out there, man. Make sure you have the protection with Speed Wax from Lucas Oil. More information, go to lucasoil.com. The Knoxville Nationals going off this week, the 410s. What this dude do last night in Knoxville for the 360s, he went out and won them. Here's your Knoxville Nationals preview. Just a badass and a good dude. Brian Brown, now the Freak Nation Speed Freaks Pits and the Lucas Oil Studios. Freak Nation, it's good to get this guy back in the Freak Nation, Lucas Oil Studios. Almost, all right, we're going on our 24th year, and Brian Brown, first time he came to the Freak Nation, old Blackjack, I think he was probably 6, 7 years old, running tricycles at some damn dirt track. And now is about to become a grandfather. He reminded me he's been married about 14, 15 years. Buddy, it's good to get you back in the Freak Nation as you sit inside of a car. That is awesome. Showing your representation of, I guess, just being a driver.
Yeah, exactly. At least I stopped. I could have went 60 or 70, 80 mile an hour down the road. I got a lot of partners on this shirt. Hopefully when I get done with this interview, hopefully we still got them.
Yeah.
And welcome back to the Freak Nation.
Flying those FVP colors, Blackjack Brian Brown back in the Freak Nation. You got the Knoxville Nationals, the big boys, the 410s coming up this week. You had the 360s earlier this week. And Brian Brown has certainly had his share of time in both of those classes at Knoxville. Dude, is it tougher to win the Knoxville Nationals than it is? And I don't know your experience in Chili Bowl, but is it tougher? Is Knoxville Nationals the toughest dirt sprint car race to win on the planet?
Yeah, I think if it's not the toughest, it's got to be right up there with it, just because of, I think a lot of goes into this too. It's maybe sometimes to easier just to win a normal event. A lot of luck goes into this. Luck on your qualifying pill, luck on your heat race draw, luck on your feature. So I think the biggest thing about it is that you can't win the Knoxville Nationals on your preliminary night, but you can definitely lose it. I think that's the main thing about this event is there's 110 entries and probably 30 have a legitimate shot to win it, where maybe the Chili Bowl has 300 entries and really maybe 10 or 15 has a legitimate shot. So, just happy to be in that talk of the top 30 contenders. And like I said, we have a great team. Obviously, Casey's and FEP are primary partners, and looking forward to having a good shot at it this year.
How do you maintain your focus? I'm going to assume, and correct me if I'm wrong, that you've been at the Knoxville track, or at least by the end of next weekend, you will have been there for 3 weeks. 2 weeks ago was, I'm getting them all confused, All-Star Sprints, and then ASCOC, or ASCS, I should say, and then now coming up the World of Outlaws. How do you maintain your focus? You're jumping with different series. Something has to be preparation work to get ready for the big World of Outlaws weekend, but there's a lot going on that can be confusing mentally and physically.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on in general. I mean, this is the Knoxville Nationals is a big. You take a town that has 5,000 people and now it's going to have 30,000 people. It's definitely a lot going on, a lot of fans, a lot of sponsor obligations, a lot of stuff going on the track, but you can probably even more off the track than normal. So you kind of use your time wisely and try to just make sure that you're doing everything to be prepared on the track and then doing everything off the track to take care of all your partners. So lots of racing going on, but that's the good part about it is a lot of times during the year we'll race someplace on a Friday and then have to travel 4 or 5 hours to race on Saturday. At least this way we're all in one location where there's not a lot of travel that goes on. So we wouldn't have it any other way. I mean, we're lucky to be able to do what we do for a living and race for good money. And I'm pumped. Like I said, this is my vacation every year. You know, Heather would probably argue with me, but if they said, hey, you can choose 10 days, you can go anywhere in the world, I would come to Knoxville and go to the Knoxville Nationals. It's I'm a fan that at 6 o'clock gets to put a race uniform on and go out and perform. But otherwise, I love being here. I love being around the people, and just pretty awesome experience overall.
Okay, so that I was going to ask you about that. You are basically putting up a residency in Knoxville, Iowa for a while, but does Heather come in and out, or does she just come in for a certain weekend? How do you maintain that?
What'd you say that Heather does what?
Does she come in and out? Does she stay the entire time?
I wanted to hear that again, but
Crasher, why did you fall for that?
Yeah.
I totally fell for it.
Yeah,
I totally fell for it.
She's here the whole time. And she takes care of a lot of our merchandise or the trailer, things like that. So, yeah, she's here the whole time. You know, really my whole family's pretty much here the whole time. So, my grandpa, George, Danny, everybody in the whole clan's here. And we're just here, being a part of the circus. We're just a small piece of the circus.
Wow. Brian Brown, sprint car driver, Knoxville Nationals we're getting ready for. You're on the road all the time, Brian, sponsored by Casey's. What do you do when you get hungry and you don't have a Casey's nearby? Do you ever feel guilty stopping somewhere else?
First of all, aloha, stat man. Made it back from Hawaii. Yeah, back to your question. Yeah, like I try to stock up as much as I can. And when we're in the Midwest, where we are today, like in this particular town in Knoxville, there's 4 Casey's. Where I live, there's 3 Casey's. So when we're here, you really gotta look hard not to find Casey's. So I'll drive the extra mile to make sure we get to Casey's and support them as much as I can. They've been with me for almost, I think, 14 years, FVP for right at 15 years. So yeah, got to support the people that support us. Having our own team, you know, it's very important to take care of the people, you know, like that, all the people on our shirt, very important to take care of them and make sure that we do everything we can to be a good partner to them. So yeah, we drive by all those other convenience stores to make sure we roll into Casey's.
There was a time when the Outlaws were out on the road all the time, more than 100 races a year. But about 10 years ago, they raised all the money, and now you've got 2 other series that are out there. So you're making more money now, I would guess. Everybody, but are you racing less, or are you racing just as much as you did in the old days?
Yeah, our schedule, we're on like 75 races a year in about 20 states. And what's unique about our schedule is we don't race with any particular series. So when we sit down to start the year and we have a blank canvas and we like, okay, where does FEP want us at? Where does Casey's want us at? And then we kind of fill in the blanks, the rest of kind of what we want to do. So we might be racing with the Outlaws on a Friday night. We might be here on Saturday night with the Knoxville local guys. We may be and then on Tuesday with the High Limit Series. So where we're at in sprint car racing right now, I feel like is the best we've ever been. We're racing for more money. The crowds are bigger. And I feel like that we have the best product. And I'm not saying that just because I'm a part of it, but I'm a race fan in general. I watch NASCAR. I watch some Formula One. I watch Indy cars. I watch drag racing. I watch every single thing. And we have the best product. It's the best, most exciting form of racing there is. And I think that's probably why I'm most excited about that High Limit Series. When you have races on Friday and Saturday night, whether it's on Dirt Vision or Flow or whatever streaming service you have, it's all split between those particular brands of streaming services. So everybody can't watch everything. On Tuesday night, there's nothing else going on. So every motorsports fan in the world, whether it be Jeff Gordon, Ray Everham, Dale Earnhardt Jr., or my buddies in Missouri, they're watching high limits on flow. So I think what we're doing to kind of show our brand off to the world is I feel like people watch it on Tuesday and then say, gosh, where can we go watch these guys live in person? And I think by doing that, I feel like, sooner or later, the whole world's going to see how awesome our sport is of dirt track racing, grassroots dirt track racing. And I think it shows by everywhere we go now. I mean, they're sold out, huge crowds. And I feel like that's an exciting time for our sport.
Good luck for these Knoxville Nationals. We wouldn't hate it if you get yourself the big championship or the big win.
Yeah, definitely. And if we do, I'd love to come back on and talk about how good it was.
Yeah, give a big check so you can bring that on with you.
Yep, you guys take care. Thank you guys for everything. Thanks for having me on. Let's try to do it, within 15 years again after this one, or 20 years. Just don't wait so long.
Oh, boy.
Sounds like a plan. Hi to Heather too.
Definitely. You guys take care, and thanks for everything.
Freak Nation coming up. The IndyCar Series has this, but so does NASCAR. And there's a big, big difference. We'll explain next. Speed Freaks Pits and the Lucas Oil Studios.
Speed Freaks, Motorsports Radio, redefined.
Hey, Dad, what are you going to buy at the store today?
I'm out of Lucas Oil fuel treatment, so let's jump in here and grab us some.
Well, do they have the Lucas Oil parts cleaner and degreaser?
I bet they do.
Well, how about the Lucas Oil power steering fluid?
They'll have that too.
Even the octane booster?
I won't be surprised if they do.
My favorite red and tacky grease?
Yes, they will, babe.
Dad, when we're done, can we grab some candy?
Deal, but you gotta share.
Awesome! Lucas works.
Bommarito Automotive Group 500 for Mobile Technology Raceway is not just a race, it's a spectacle.
Here we go! In St. Louis at Worldwide Technology Raceway.
It's time to mark your calendar. Saturday, August 26th and Sunday, August 27th.
Joseph Newgarden wins back-to-back years at Worldwide Technology Raceway.
Get your tickets now at www.raceway.com.
Whatever you do, General Tire delivers.
This segment of Speed Freaks is brought to you by BetterHelp. Now, you hear us talk about constant travel, time commitments, and a slew of other life schedules. Throw in some unexpected curveballs that life throws our way. It's easy to get lost and in need of some guides to get back on track. And that's where BetterHelp.com comes in. Go to BetterHelp.com/freaks and get 10% off your first month. Tap into the world's largest network of licensed and experienced therapists who can help you with a range of issues, including depression, anxiety, relationships, grief, and more. With BetterHelp.com therapist, you get the same quality you'd expect from an in-office therapist, but you can communicate with them when and how you want, anytime from anywhere. Let therapy be your map with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/freaks for 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp. That's HELP.com/freaks.
The weekend racing is over, or is it? Not on MAP TV. Monday is All-American Racing Night on the network which never leaves the track. Sit back and enjoy grassroots red, white, and blue racing from America's most iconic tracks. Where it's the first sidelines of Cleveland Ovals or the Dorking action of the track. MAP TV's Sunday night lineup will bring you all the action from this country's legendary four-wheel battleground. Monday night is All-American Racing, only on MAP TV, Motorsports Network.
Okay, we are running a car drive right now to help veterans all across America. So if you have an old car, truck, or van, even a motorcycle or an RV sitting around, you can right now give it away and help the vets. They really need your help. And your car will help support the vets and their families. And guess what? You even get a tax donation. Plus, we'll even come and pick up your car for free. And all you've got to do is pick up your phone right now and make a free call. Now is the perfect time time to do something good for the vets. Give back to the vets right now. All they've done for this country, and your old car can really help them. So call the Veterans Car Donation Program right now for free pickup of your vehicle. Help the vets and help your Texas at the same time. Call right now.
800-883-3024. 800-883-3024. 800-883-3024. That's 800-883-3024.
You're listening to SpeedFreaks Motorsports Radio Redefined.
Simple question. If you follow us on Twitter, if Chase Elliott does not make the chase, are you going to watch NASCAR? You think that's a silly question. It's really not. Some people were blaming some lower ratings in NASCAR this year when Chase Elliott missed with the broken bone. But hey, it's just, I'm telling you, man, he's got such a fan base. It will affect the ratings if Chase Elliott does not make the playoffs. But in my opinion, he will not make the playoffs. One thing we talked about in the break, Richie brought up the fact that he kind of giggled. He said, man, really? 3 more races left in the IndyCar season, which, by the way, Worldwide Technology Raceway is one of them.
Four. It's not short. She's one.
Right.
These valuable
weekends. That's a very good point. August 26th and 27th, Worldwide Technology Raceway. Worldwide Technology Raceway. It is a huge weekend for IndyCar in St. Louis. Go to www.raceway.com for more information on how you can get tickets from our friends at WWTR. So you've got the IndyCar season wrapping up in the middle of September. And you have NASCAR wrapping up second week of November. And I was talking to Crasher about this. For the most part, the drivers just don't like, IndyCar fans just don't like that almost 6-month layoff between races. Crasher, we talk about this every year.
Mm-hmm.
And now with the finale being in Nashville
starting next year.
Next year. There's talk about, of course, moving Laguna Seca to March, but there's still 6 months off, and then the gap from St. Pete to the next race.
Texas. Yeah. Well, Texas is not official yet for next year on the calendar. So, what happens? You've got St. Pete locked in. What is the date? I think it's March 10th. And then you really don't have anything locked in right now until the Long Beach Grand Prix, which is April 21st. So you got to fill some dates in there. And will Texas be one? I think that's still up for debate. I think a lot of people want it to be, but fans need to show up, man. If you like your ovals as much as you say you do, we've got to get people to either watch on TV or show up with your butt in a seat. But then, could you put Laguna Seca in March? You could. It's not like it hasn't happened. I mean, we've been there in the springtime before,
right?
But the weather is not optimal. It's not horrible. Let's just put it that way. You can race in the rain there. It's doable. It's not going to be as beautiful as September, but it's still doable.
What's the IndyCar rule when it comes to running at Laguna Seca and Sonoma?
That's a NASCAR thing. And I don't know the exact wording of it, but there's a 100-mile. NASCAR has something about 100 miles from one of their events you can't race in. It's convoluted. I would have to look it up.
In Austin. Well, it's 100 miles. That's the radius. Okay, Austin's
Something
further
like
away
that.
from Dallas. I get that.
Yeah.
But God,
Meanwhile, they can race together at Indianapolis coming up this weekend. That rule needs to go away. If that is a NASCAR rule exclusive, it needs to go away. Or a racetrack rule. It needs to go away.
How do you solve that, man?
How do you solve what?
The 6-month gap between the last race and the first race.
We're going to get more dates. And when Crash was talking, IMSA announced their 24 schedule this weekend at Road America. So if IndyCar is still having trouble getting dates, that says a lot about IndyCar.
Well, I will say this though. I mean, IMSA has what 8 races total on the year. I mean,
and they have more than that, but they
just renew.
They still have a schedule.
They do,
and I mean, if they had 2 races, this is the 2 races we're going to have, and the IndyCar can come up with theirs. I mean, all the questions that Roger Penske was supposed to answer, I don't know that he's answering all of them, and that's a problem. It's not his fault. I'm not saying it's his fault, but he was supposed to bring some answers to the table, and some of those questions are still out there.
Yeah, instead, arguably, he has, there are additional questions that we didn't expect to have. You're right. I've talked to numerous people. There are some things, let's give credit where credit's due. Social media has taken a massive step up. There's some facility improvements. Hey, this new museum that's going to be done on the IMS grounds, awesome. But series-wide, yes. And okay, let's just say the finale going to Nashville, because that's allegedly going to be a massive party and banquet. It's going to be a bigger deal than it is even now. But things like just awareness in general is still way down. Scheduling issues like we've seen for even way before he took over as the commanding chief of IndyCar. Victory lane celebrations are lame. There are people that are starting to talk about that. Just there's a lot of stuff that could be improved. And was the reality show 100 Days to Indy a success? Overall, yes. And now we're seeing the CW come into other forms of racing, NASCAR included. So, yes, but 100 Days to Indy, we need something now. We need something in the off season. We as fans, I'm talking. So there's still a lot more that needs to be done. Baby steps are fine, but I wish there was more transparency on what you guys are thinking about in the offices for fans to enjoy for the future.
Let me add one more thing in here. To answer your question, Kenny, that you asked before, what can they do? I think they need to race more in the Midwest. I remember when Kart and Champ Car were very strong. They were racing in Milwaukee. They were racing in places in the Midwest. And it's always been the thing when they raced in the Midwest, and they could say, man, I sure want to see this guy when he gets to Indy. And, we could point to the split and all of that stuff that drove guys like Jeff Gordon and Tony Stewart and Ryan Newman, that drove them into stock cars. But I think if they went back to racing in the Midwest, if they want to go back to ovals, I think that's where they could find a lot of ovals and drum up some support. It's probably a big fight between the owners who don't want to race on smaller tracks and smaller crowds, but you got to race somewhere, and that's more TV revenue. Yeah, those are some of the things I think they could do.
Well, the Midwest argument is absolutely valid, because you're right. That's arguably the birthplace of IndyCar, arguably. But there is a problem there too. We've talked to some track owners who are not happy with the fact that you've got this chunk of the summer that is exclusively Midwest. And so it's basically Indy, Iowa. I've got the order wrong, but Indy, Iowa, Nashville, St. Louis, and there's another one that I'm missing in there, Mid-Ohio. You've got all of these together, and they're all within a very easy driving distance for people that live in the Midwest. But by the end of that run, whatever track is on the end of that, people are like, I'm done. I've spent my money. I can't go anymore. So somehow, yes, more Midwest. And I know Milwaukee is being considered. I've seen some chatter come up about Milwaukee, which is awesome news. But you got to spread it apart a little bit. Yes, that increases costs. And I know owners are in Roger's ear about, we got to bring costs down. But you can't just have a bunch in the Midwest in a 6-week span, 6 races in 6 weeks. People don't. That's still your same demographic that you're trying to pull from. People don't have enough money to do that. It's just not possible.
Well, do you think, and again, we probably said this last year, do you give Roger this offseason to at least address some of the glaring freaking issues with IndyCar? Listen, our career isn't going to be made or broken because of it. If whatever he decides to do.
No, right. Where there's still so much racing out there. We have jobs, very healthy jobs, but you're right. Have we been saying that the last couple of months? Okay, so a bunch of improvements to Indianapolis Motor Speedway. That was one of the early things. Some schedule adjustments, but then a lot of tracks started falling off. This past off season, what did we get? What improvements did we get? We got an awesome social media group and we got a reality show. Okay, should we argue that we need more as fans? Should we argue that at least this next year we need to double up that kind of exposure or just awareness? Because I'm still falling back on the awareness is not there.
I think one of the problems that are going to continue
30 seconds, Bill,
is if he puts the owners at the top of the list of people he's listening to.
Yeah.
He's got to listen to the audience and pay attention to what the audience wants. And if the owners, then you end up with Carton.
Yep. Valid.
And the audience is speaking. Well, frankly, they're not speaking. And you're right, Brandon. What about the Northeast? Plenty of freaking tracks. Great show, Freak Nation. Thank you guys for hanging out. You missed any of it? Go to our YouTube page at official Speed Freaks or speedfreaks.tv to listen to it on your podcast. Shoot the juice and moose, that man.
Cut it loose.
Speed Freaks, Motorsports Radio, redefined.
There is less than 1/100th of an inch of motor oil protecting your car's engine. Friction and heat causes engine oil to experience thermal breakdown, weakening its ability to protect the engine and its parts. Lucas Heavy Duty Oil Stabilizer is specially formulated to resist thermal breakdown, protect vital engine parts, and extend the life of your engine. It also stops smoking, knocking, and oil consumption in worn engines. Lucas Heavy Duty Oil Stabilizer. Keep that engine alive.
Whatever you do, General Tire delivers.
The Bommarito Automotive Group 500 Worldwide Technology Raceway is not just a race, it's a spectacle.
Here we go! In St. Louis at Worldwide Technology Raceway.
It's time to mark your calendar. Saturday, August 26th and Sunday, August 27th.
Joseph Newgarden wins back-to-back years at Worldwide Technology Raceway.
Get your tickets now at www.raceway.com.
The weekend racing is over, or is it? Not on MAP TV. Monday is All-American Racing Night on the network which never leaves the track. Sit back and enjoy grassroots red, white, and blue racing from America's most iconic tracks. Whether it's the precise lines of pavement ovals or the door-banging action of the dirt, MAP TV's Monday night lineup will bring you all the action from this country's legendary four-wheel battlegrounds. Monday night is All-American Racing, only on MAP TV, Motorsports Network.
Do you own an annuity, either fixed rate, indexed, or variable? Are you paying high fees and getting low returns? If so, Annuity General would like you to have this free book to learn the pitfalls and mistakes of buying an annuity. The Annuity Do's and Don'ts for Baby Boomers contains the little-known truths about annuities, like how to help reduce your fees and increase retirement income. And it's free. That's right, free. As a bonus, we'll also throw in a free annuity rate report just for calling. We researched over 1,000 annuities and summarized rates and benefits from financially strong insurers. You get Annuity Do's and Don'ts for Baby Boomers and the Annuity Rate Report, both absolutely free for calling Annuity General today. Hurry, supplies are limited. Call now.
800-273-7075. 800-273-7075. 800-273-7075. That's 800-273-7075.
You're listening to Speed Freaks Motorsports Radio Redefined.